Today's project. I should have taken a before picture, but this was very crowded with the catmint and all of the Shasta Daisies that I grew from seed. You can see this one was so crowded that it's just looking kind of sad. Hopefully it will rebound now that it has some room to grow. But so I just spaced things out. I decided not to put the catmint back in here, and I moved the skull cap because it does seem to do well in this spot. So I moved that skull cap. I've had for, this is the second year now, so I moved it out from under the Shasta Daisy because who the heck knew it was going to get that big? And then I took that one from over by the phlox that's turning brown, so it was in between. So I have one skull cap, one Shasta Daisy, and so on down the way. Then, even though you're not really supposed to prune this time of year, the Rose of Sharon that I started from a little tiny seedling that dropped from that Rose of Sharon, I grew 2 plants in 1 year, and they were creating branches that went over the path, so I cut them off. I did stake one of them, and I'm going to try to turn this one into a tree. So I'll probably do a lot of heavy pruning next spring, late winter. And then this one on the right already looks like it is well on its way to being a nice size tree. Or, not a tree, but tree shaped. So that was very productive. And then, because I couldn't stand all those Shasta Daisies that were tucked in behind the bench, I dug all of the pincushions up and the Shasta Daisies, and I transplanted them into a different location, which I'll show you in a minute. Excuse the cardboard, but I made it this garden bed a little bit bigger. So I dug out the grass, and I'm going to cover that with mulch. I just don't want the crabgrass to work its way back in there. And then the 2 anise hyssop that I took from over there that were struggling to do well, I cut them back severely and planted them right there, right next to my other anise hyssop, which I harvested the rest of the anise hyssop, so I cut that one way back. And then I had a little hummingbird plant tucked in there behind the lavender, so I moved that because you couldn't see it. Unfortunately, half of this cardinal plant fell over in the storm the other night, so it broke off. But it'll come back next year. Just, it's a shame that it broke off before the seeds matured, so I'm hopefully gonna dry them and see if they'll mature on the stem. Then I planted one of the pincushions right there. I removed one of those yellow plants because it got not destroyed, but really top heavy in the storm and became really weak and flopped over. So I removed one of those, and they're just annuals. And you can see, well, you can't because of my shadow, but that lavender is not long for this world. I already had one die in this area, so I'll probably end up having to move this one before it dies. And that, I don't know. I'll try to save it. What else? So, I didn't do much else in this garden bed. But let me show you where I put some of the other plants. So right now it's late afternoon, and what I thought was my shade garden gets nothing but full sun. So I dug up all of the hostas that were back here that were beyond fried and looking very bleached out. So I dug all of them up, and I'm going to put them in another part of the garden. And then I moved some hosta that does well in the sun. I moved some here. And then I put some Shasta Daisies over there. And I have one more Shasta Daisy to put in the back corner. I'll do that shortly. Put a couple of pin cushions in here. And then cute little new plant. That is called a double play candy corn spirea. So that should get, I don't know, I think like 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. So next for this area is to dig out all of those grasses, because I don't think they're going to do well, but I'll save that for next year. The Hakanakloa grass, the Japanese forest grass. And then it's a shame that I planted the bleeding hearts here, because I thought this was shady, and the lily of the valley that I actually paid money for. So we'll see if those come back next year, but if not, I'll have to move them, or I don't know, maybe I just won't even buy them. I'll go take them from your dad's. So this was the wildflower garden that I pulled all the annuals, or I cut them back, and you can see what's left are just the perennials that are starting to grow, and they won't flower until next year. But the violets have really taken over, so I'm not sure much will survive, but we'll see. One more hosta that I need to move, and then let me show you where I'm going to put the hostas. So these are all the hostas that I dug up, and there are many different varieties, but you really can't tell because they're all bleached out, the poor hostas. I feel so bad. So there are, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 plants in there, and I'm going to put them around this tree and make a garden bed around the tree. And again, getting rid of the fire pit since I don't really use it. And that means there'll just be a big garden bed with a little patch of grass like around this part of the shady garden. I think that will look nicer than that tree and the grass around it that is super hard to mow. So that's all for today. Bye.